Hey guys, it's Josh here from Dingers and Dashers. Just want to let y'all know we're starting on a new software this week for our podcasting. So we're still learning the ropes of it. We're still learning how to make the best content with the editing, all of that. So we appreciate your patience with any technical issues or glitches in the episode this week. And we remain committed to bringing you guys the best content possible. So without further ado, enjoy this week's episode of Dingers and Dashers. Welcome to Dingers and Dashers. My name is Josh alongside my co-host Adam. It's a great day to talk all things hockey and baseball. Adam, let's get into it.
What a game we had tonight, Josh. We're currently filming on Tuesday night, episodes coming out tomorrow. We just saw a great game against the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm really impressed by the Caps' performance. They needed this game. They needed to bounce back, and they did it in a big fashion.
Yeah, they needed this win in a bad way. Going into tonight's win, the Caps are 1-6 in their last 7 games. The only win coming against the Blues, where we kind of rocked them. The Blues are an awful team. So the Caps coming into tonight showing that they're able to compete, not just with a good team, but with a lethal team. The Hurricanes were 11-4. They'd won all but one game at home this season. And they hadn't lost to anyone in the Metropolitan Division. The Caps come in on the road, coming off a tough loss against the Lightning, and they show up and they show them that the team that the Carolina Hurricanes beat in the playoffs last year was not the team coming into Lenovo Center tonight.
Yeah, that game was crazy entertaining, Josh. I mean, that was just fun to watch. There was scrums all over the ice. There were guys pushing each other. Both teams wanted to win. Both teams hated each other's guts in that game. You could tell. I loved what I saw from Logan Thompson. He was playing with energy. You could see like when Anderson was getting upset there, pushing when he got hit by Dowd and that whole fight broke out. You saw Logan Thompson get right to center ice, and he was ready to fight. I mean, he had energy all game, making huge stops in the crease. That one where Michael brought it back, and I love what I'm seeing from Logan Thompson. I love the energy I saw from the Caps. They needed that. The Blues, as we said, not such a great team, but the Hurricanes and the Penguins, and now the Panthers who were playing on our 4-game road stretch. It's really tough, Josh.
Yeah, Logan Thompson's been unbelievable. To give a couple numbers there, he's currently 4th in goals allowed per average per game, sitting at 1.56 goals allowed per average per game. The 3 people ahead of him have played 3 games, 4 games, and 1 game. So out of the goalies who are regularly playing and putting teams on their back and starting games, Logan Thompson is the best goalie statistically. We know he's making a push to join Team Canada. He seems like a shoo-in. I think he got snubbed last year in the Four Nations. Binnington's not having the season he should be having. Sam Montembeault's the backup goalie in Montreal right now. Aiden Hill, he used to be his understudy in Vegas. Aiden Hill's out with an injury right now. So Logan Thompson, in terms of Canadian goalies, is the best in the league. Take out that whole Canadian filter, Logan Thompson is the best out of all the goalies in the league. He's making timely stops, and I hate comparing him to Chucky every episode. But if Charlie Lindgren's between the pipes tonight, even how good the Caps played on offense, and they scored a power play goal by the grace of God, the Caps don't win that game if Chucky's in the goal. Logan Thompson is truly a difference maker.
Yeah, it was all about that penalty kill, too. It was about Logan Thompson in the net. It was about all the guys in the penalty kill contributing. Saw John Carlson have one of those, had a long stretch pass that he caught, almost scored a goal, and then got a penalty off of it. And then we got off the penalty kill. So back to back, it was incredible.
And all of that coming together, it comes down to one thing, and they were talking about a little bit on the post-game show, something that we like to call pack mentality. It was a full roster effort tonight. A lot of times this season, the wins have come down to we were bailed out by our goaltending. And sure, the goaltending was top-notch today, but nobody was bailing out another group. The offense put up 4 goals. Ovi with goal 9-1 in the career, trailing nobody for the most goals ever. The defense is contributing too. We're killing penalties. We're killing one of the most potent power plays in the NHL right now. Back to back. We were 5-on-3 for a couple seconds there. The Caps, for 4 minutes straight, were able to just kill penalties, not let Carolina get their passing game going, and then the goaltending was top-notch. So it was truly a 200-foot game for the Hurricanes. They couldn't really ever get set up in Washington's zone. And a big difference maker, actually, you want to talk a little bit, was Connor McMichael tonight with a huge play defensively.
Yeah, the play you're speaking of is that play in front of the net where it was a huge scrum, and the ref just was watching it. If you could look at his eyes, he was like waiting to call the whistle. He was never going to call it. And then like eventually it was like covered, but it was
Got
that
to
puck
call
that,
it.
yeah, you got to call it, man. Like I get where you're going. It was a little loose. I like the refs doing that, so I'm not going to be someone who's going to be yelling about that.
Oh no, I like that they let him play on, especially like. Well, I'll get to a little bit how I think the home crowd dictated the refs a little bit through the first half of the game. But no, if you're the ref, you got to let that play go on. If you blow that play dead and the puck's sitting on the goal line not being covered, I mean, can the league fine them for that? Because that's just blatantly it would have been a bad call. But yeah, eventually the puck gets under LT. You got to call that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There was some calls that I felt like, but I feel like the home crowd does it a lot. And the Carolina's got a good crowd, and they're pretty loud. They're always loud. They were loud in that series last year in the playoffs, and yeah, so they're a tough team to play. But I want to see the Caps keep playing like that, keep playing with that same energy. We know we can't get every single game. We know some games are not going to go our way. There's going to be a goal here or there, like in that Lightning game, we lost 3-2. That Penguins game, we came back, almost beat them. But we need these small little things to go. And I think last year we had a little more puck luck than we're having this year.
Yeah, the puck luck's certainly a factor, but some things did bounce our way tonight, which was kind of refreshing. Chychrun scoring his 100th career goal. He didn't even know it was 100, which is the funniest part. But yeah, it was a full team effort, but it was the unlikely guys. Sure, Ovi scores 901. It was an empty netter. Sure, you have your mainstays on the team contributing. You have Chychrun contributing. No surprise there. He's a great player. Wilson getting robbed by Anderson, but still putting up high danger scoring chances. But then we break into the line. The third line out there tonight was Ethan Frank, then Brandon Duhaime and Nick Dowd, I believe. That was the line. Sort of kind of cycling into that line as well. And it wouldn't be a Dingers and Dashes episode without talking about Justin Sordif. But like that line was just so good. Whenever Ryan Leonard, Hendrix Lapierre, Ethan Frank, Justin Sordif was on the ice, all these guys, new players to the team, players who haven't been here for long at all, who are fighting for roster spots, like they made the difference. Whenever they were in the ice, we seemed to immediately get set up in the offensive zone. We seemed to be moving the puck around with speed. Ethan Frank had a hell of an assist for the first goal of the game. I mean, the Caps just seemed to click tonight.
Yeah, Josh, the Caps seemed special tonight, but I'm still not convinced. I need to see more of that because it's not going to cut it. We don't look like a top 5 team. We don't look like a top 7 team right now. And last year, we looked like a top 5 team. Maybe we didn't, but we were getting that luck, and that bounced us into like the top 2. We had the second best record in the league, and we were the 1 seed in the East last year. No matter what it is, if we're not going to get that puck luck, if we're not going to get a little more lucky, you got to play better. And I think it starts from that fourth line, the third line. You had the first line playing great. Strome and Mangiapane were working so well. That line was looking great today. But I think it does start with that fourth line. I loved what I saw from them.
I believe you meant Bavillier, not Mangiapane, but yeah,
Bavillier, of course, yeah. Manja's always in the back of our head.
Always got Monge on the brain, and it's important that Bavillier is stepping up into that role. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's going to miss 3 to 4 months. He had surgery, lower body injury. Really tough to see. Hoping for the best for him. Look, that's the reality of the situation. It sucks, but we can't do anything about it. He is injured. So the Caps now have to turn their approach to how are we going to step up? How are we going to shift our roster? How are we going to make a change in order to be able to work with the fact that we don't have our mainstay center? Pierre-Luc Dubois signed to an 8-year deal. He means a lot to this team. So it's on the other centers like Strome has been an ace at the dot. The last couple of games, he's been like 75% at the dot. So it's on Strome. How can I step up? And tonight he steps up and he scores a goal. But it also comes down to Bavillier. Bavillier is kind of a utility guy. He fills in wherever he's needed. How am I going to step up? How am I going to fill the void that Pierre-Luc Dubois leaves? Because PLD, maybe he was off to a little bit of a slower start this season. But from last season, we saw like Pierre-Luc Dubois means a lot to this offense. And when players like Dubois and Protas are clicking, the offense as a whole starts to click.
Yeah, totally, Josh. We're hoping for the best for Pierre. Hopefully, his fast recovery from that from surgery. I hope he comes back. I hope he comes back fresh. Hope he comes back healthy. We're hoping for the best for you, bud. But yeah, the Caps just forgetting this Hurricanes game, which we thought was incredible. Loved what we saw from the Caps. They just haven't looked like the team that they did last year. They haven't. Each player hasn't been clicking together. I think that togetherness is something that the Caps have needed. And speaking of not clicking together, speaking of a bad start, that jumps right into my trivia question for you, Josh. Josh, trivia of the day. Last time the Washington Capitals started the season under 500, which they did this season for the first time since the 2007-2008 season, in which they started 6-14-1. Josh, that season, what did the Capitals finish? What place? How many points? Can you take a guess? I know it's a tough one, and that was probably the year you were born, or maybe the year after, but yeah.
Yeah, so my perfect trivia streak is probably going to come to an end here. Let's see, starting 6-14-1. Gosh, that's brutal. I would guesstimate that the Caps are going to maybe finish that season with 75 points or so. Maybe good for 7th place in the Metro.
Josh, you are totally incorrect. The Washington Capitals in the 2007-2008 season, they began with a 6-14-1 record. They turned it around, finishing 43-31-8. Good for first place in the division, earning 94 points in the season. Sadly, losing to the Flyers in the first round. They forced the Game 7, but they got eliminated in overtime in a battling game. But yeah, Josh, that gives me hope, man. We're nowhere near that right now. The Capitals were under 500, starting 7-7-1. Now 8-7-1 after that game against the Canes. I mean, do you see that right there? There's so much left in this team. There's so much. I don't get why people are getting so down on them, saying, "Oh, this is too much to come back from." We see it right there. It's not.
Yeah. It's gonna take a lot of work to become a better team, and the power play especially. You know, the penalty kill, we kind of critiqued it last week. The penalty kill tonight, phenomenal. Power play tonight, you know, four power plays that maybe we didn't convert on, but through the first 4 power plays, we had 10 shots on goal. There's improvements that are already being made, and this is already missing Pierre-Luc Dubois with the injury. Like, they're starting to ramp up to a level. Al Koken was talking about it a little bit before and after the game. The dynamic of the team right now is a really focused team. Obviously, fun and games, shenanigans, it's all going to happen. That's what the Caps are. But he said he never heard a team playing so quiet than the flight they took to Carolina. And he never saw players arrive at the hotel and literally just go their respective ways, sleep, wake up, and work. So the Caps understand, you know, it became more than a 3 or 4 game skid. It became more than a small issue. There's still improvements to make, but I think the Caps are doing a really good job taking ownership, taking responsibility. You know, saying like, yeah, we're not playing good right now. We understand. Protas said it a couple games ago. Like, I get that nobody wants to watch us play because we look like garbage, but we're gonna do the best that we can to turn it around. And teams always do this, where whenever they're playing poorly, they always say that because that's the cop-out answer in sports. But the difference here is that the Caps actually went on and did it. No matter what the result was tonight, it was a quiet plane ride. It was a disciplined workout. It's really good to see a team taking ownership of their mistakes, taking responsibility for their shortcomings, and working on the fly to turn this thing around, because that's what the Caps have done the last couple of years. It's on the fly. There's no time to stop and rebuild because we're just too damn good to do that. So we need to turn it around now, and the Caps are doing that.
Yeah, Josh, totally agree. No time is better than the present. I always love to hear from Smoke and Al Koken, our favorite live ringside announcer, whatever. I know it's not WWE or not wrestling, but ringside, it works. Ice side, court side, blah, blah, blah. But love to hear from him. Love to hear from some new hires in the Washington Nationals organization as they hire new bench coach Michael Johns and new pitching coach Simon Matthews.
Yeah, those are some baseball names right there. Michael Johns. I honestly don't know much about them yet, but from what I do know and from what I have learned about these guys, I like the balance that we're striking in the organization right now. You know, with these hires like Michael Johns, we're bringing in veteran presence to go with Blake Butra, the new young manager. Paul Taboni is a young guy, but he's willing to hire veterans because he understands he has things to learn. I think that Paul Taboni has so far done a great job, and so has Blake Butra, and, you know, well, I guess Blake Butra maybe hasn't done a ton yet, but I'm excited to see what he could do. But I mean, I think that we'd be fools to analyze this decision too deeply until we actually see the work that they're going to put in more offseason hirings, spring training, offseason hirings. Like, this kind of gets down to our news around the MLB. But Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso, Polar Bear Pete, Those are two free agents coming out of the Mets. We know that the Nats are in dire need of a first baseman. We also know that Pete Alonso and the Nats kind of maybe were in talks a couple years ago. So I'm intrigued to see what Taboni's vision is. There's no right or wrong answer. It's not like the Nats have to bring Pete Alonso there. Like Nate Lowe didn't work out for us. Yohandy Morales had a really good year in AAA. I'm looking to see what we're gonna do. And so I think once we start getting those decisions from Paul Taboni, I think we can really start to analyze it. So yeah, it's newsworthy. We're bringing in a bench coach, Michael Johns. We're bringing in the pitching coach, Simon Matthews. But I don't think that there's much meat on the bones to pick at yet.
Yeah, just something interesting I want to point out on Simon Matthews. He's 30 years old, Josh. Simon Matthews is the age of a lot of our players, and I think that's what the Nats wanted to do with the pitching coach. They wanted a guy who was that age. They wanted somebody who could relate to the players, who the players could relate to. And I think Michael Johns, who's a veteran guy, is great for a bench coach because you need someone serious. You need someone who's going to bring the collective, who's going to keep the players in line. And then you got a pitching coach who can talk to them face to face, like age to age. And I think that's really important. I like what they're doing.
And to that point, this isn't the final product. Like, this is a season of throwing stuff to the wall, seeing what sticks, and it's on to the next season. This is a multi-season vision we're working out right now. And so I like to see that we're trying different things. We're not bringing in a coaching staff that's all over 70 years old or all under 30 years old. We're balancing it. We're seeing what's going to work, what's not going to work. And it's going to take patience, but I'm a lot more willing to be patient with an organization that's trying things and genuinely making moves because I agree. It's important for coaches to connect with players, and there's no better way to connect with a player unless you're a former player yourself. Adam, you want to share the two Nats former players who are heading over to Anaheim to join a coaching staff?
Yeah, recently headlining the news, Kurt Suzuki takes over the Angels managerial position. Congratulations, Kurt, former Nat 2019 World Series champ. So is Adam.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, real ones know the walk-off against the Mets in late September that year. Kurt Suzuki, legend.
Yeah, and so is Adam Eaton, another World Series champ for the Nationals, another legend, was there for multiple seasons. He's also joining the Angels staff as a first base coach for the Angels. We saw how Parra worked out for the Nats. Not too great, but I'm hoping for the best for Adam Eaton. Don't want to bring that in to what Adam Eaton can do for the Angels. He is our Nat of the Week. Congratulations, Adam Eaton, for that job.
Yeah, it's really good to see players kind of getting back in the sport. Adam Eaton came to a couple Nats games this season. They would show him on the broadcast. There wasn't much good baseball to show, so at least show good baseball players. But we'll see what happens. I'm not even sure if the Nats play the Angels. They might get a series against them. They played the Angels this year.
It's just kind of
time or two. But yeah, it's fun. It's cool. Honestly, this is kind of an alternate world. But let's go down this path a little bit. If the Angels kind of made these moves right now, because these moves, we don't know if they're going to work out. We don't know what's going to happen with Suzuki, what's going to happen with Eaton. But the Angels, to me, it's never quite made sense why they haven't been a top team. They had Mike Trout through the prime of his career. They had rookie phenom Shohei Ohtani. They had Shohei for years. Rendon kind of dropped off once he got there, but they've had good players in Anaheim. Just things haven't fully clicked. And so let's think a little bit about if Eaton and Suzuki took over this team 10 years ago, would 10 years ago be appropriate? Or let's say Shohei's rookie year, where Trout's still firing on all cylinders. Do you think this Angels team would have been any different, or was it kind of written in the stars from the start that this Angels team under Shohei, that wasn't the final product for him?
Yeah, the Angels are an odd scenario because you got those guys. You think they're going to play so well. You want Trout. You want him to win so bad, and they just can't do it. They never do it. And for me, I think it was always because they didn't build the team the right way. They didn't build the team around those guys the right way. I think they focused too much on the star power. They didn't build guys who were willing to get on base for these guys. They had too many home run hitters, in my opinion. And I think maybe if there was a different manager like Kurt Suzuki, Adam Eaton, who are both guys who just get on base, I think maybe there's a different energy in the different energy for the team in the ball club, but I think it all has to do with the GM, the ownership. I think mostly where the GM's coming, who he's getting, and I think maybe the Angels GMs didn't do it right, and he didn't get it right. But yeah, the Angels are a weird scenario, and I don't want to get my head lost in that kerfuffle. The Angels are.
kerfuffle would be the word for it. Another team finding themselves in a little bit of kerfuffle right now, the Cleveland Guardians. Now, you might have heard about this. Emmanuel Clase, one of the best closers in baseball. I mean, Adam and I are in a fantasy baseball league together, and we know he was a hot commodity in the draft. He was just charged and awaiting a prison sentence, I think. If that
He was
goes to
arrested.
that,
He was
but
arrested.
he was arrested. But yeah, him and Luis Ortiz, another pitcher, charged for another sports gambling, sports betting thing. Basically, what happened was they would bet on outcomes of like, is the first pitch of this inning going to be a ball or a strike? They would be pitching that inning. They would bet a ball. They would throw a ball that's not close to the strike zone. And so there's softwares, there's systems that pick up on pitches that are so far outside of the strike zone, and it flags those pitches as like, hey, this pitch might have been intentional because there's some sort of sports gambling going on. And so once there was kind of a repeated pattern being seen, I mean, I watched these pitches. He was spiking them 30 feet in front of the mound. He was throwing them like out of the other batter's box. Like they weren't close. Obviously you should not be sports gambling, but like if you're going to do it, you got to make it a little closer to the zone.
Yeah, this is really serious according to what's going on. I mean, Clase and Ortiz are facing up to 65 years in prison if convicted. I mean, that's insane. I mean, these guys, there was one scenario that caught my eye.
What I will say is, we definitely want to be careful not to get too much in like league politics and figure it out at league politics and, get it like the nitty gritty, especially other organizations that aren't the Nats. But yeah, I'm going to be intrigued to see how the Guardians rebuild their pitching staff around these recent developments, and that might be something we come back to cover a little bit in February once we kind of get spring training going, because if there's anything that we learned from the Nats this season, it's that pitchers, like especially closers, can be built from within the organization. Obviously, like Edwin Diaz, free agent, Timmy Trumpet, he's an icon in the league. He's a great closer, but at the same time, Jose A. Ferrer, if you're not a Nats fan, you've never heard of him in your life. But like he was an elite closer for the Nats in the second half, and his ERA dropped, his velocity up. Like he was just good. That's all there is to it. And if you're a team, like you just need a guy who can throw heat and be like clutch. That's pretty much all it was.
Yeah, exactly, Josh. And two names I want to shout out when we're going over our headlines of the MLB this week. Drake Baldwin, Braves catcher. What a season he had. He wins Rookie of the Year for the NL. Nick Kurtz wins Rookie of the Year in the AL for the Athletics.
Dude, he's a really good baseball player.
He really is. He went on a crazy run at a certain point, hitting like 4 homers in one game, I think it was. He's nasty. I love what I'm seeing from him. Nick Kurtz, what a guy.
Yeah, and so those are your rookies of the year. Really, really, what I will say, I don't think that there was a lot of stiff competition in the rookie of the year thing. Yeah, obviously Dylan Cruz, disappointing injury. He wasn't kind of in that contention like we hoped he'd be. Do you happen to know who was 5th in National League Rookie of the Year voting this year?
I do not.
No, you do not. It was none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest baseball player of all time, Dalen Lyle. That's Dalen Lyle.
I caught onto it.
I'm a Dalen Lyle guy, like that's the guy right there. And I think it's special to show that the youth movement might be coming back a little bit, because that's the first time since 2019 a Nat has caught a Rookie of the Year vote. First time since Victor Robles in 2019. So is that an indication that the youth is on the up in DC? Well, I think it definitely is, and I think it will continue to be under Paul Taboni. But that's just a cool thing I noticed. Hey, that's a lot of baseball. We got some more hockey heads on this podcast. Adam, let's preview the Caps' upcoming week. Excuse me.
Yeah, Josh, it stays tough. We've been having a tough stretch this past week against 3 great teams. The Blues aren't very good, but
they're
3
terrible.
Great teams. Yeah, they're terrible. Not very good is an understatement. They looked awful in that game. Can we just talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
they looked awful.
Okay. I thought we glossed past that part of the script way too fast. Yeah, the Blues were not the Caps, who like this season so far have not been a possession team. We'll be pretty frank about that. Like, dude, they literally they passed around them for 3 minutes in the zone. Like, a zone's not huge. I don't know the exact dimensions, but It's what? It's like 80 feet of space, and the Caps for 3 minutes got every rebound, got every pass connected stick to stick. Like, it was good play from the Caps, but the Blues are comedically awful.
It made me mad how bad they were. Like I didn't see the Blues play this season. I didn't know they were that bad, man.
I didn't mind.
I mean, yeah, I was happy to see the Caps, so I was a little bit mad, but like not really. It was a fake mad. But Bennington made me mad because he did not play well, and Logan Thompson, who was scratched last year from the Canada team, Bennington, that guy made it over him. I
Well,
don't care how he played. He played well last year in the Canadian.
I will say Bennington outdueled Connor Hellebuck in the finals. And
Yeah,
Connor
no.
Hellebuck's
But he didn't deserve to make it. Can I say that? Like, he didn't deserve to make he played great for them.
You could say whatever you want to say.
I'm going to say, I don't think, even though he won it for them, he shouldn't have made it. He shouldn't have made it. Logan was playing better than him. Logan Thompson was better than him.
Yeah.
He still is, but Bennington was great. Let's not get too off topic as of right now.
Well, yeah, but Logan had a really underdog season. Like, he came in as basically 2 years ago. For a little context, 2 years ago, Darcy Kemper's the number one goalie in DC, and Darcy Kemper's not so good. Charlie Lindgren, who's the backup at the time, snatches that starting role, says, "Hey, I'm better than you." Charlie Lindgren starts over Darcy Kemper on Darcy Kemper's bobblehead night. A year later, Darcy Kemper's gone. He played really well for the Kings last year, by the way.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Logan Thompson comes in as this, like, I hadn't heard of him, but I liked him from the start. I liked him because of his hair, actually. I thought he had awesome hair, and I guess that's how we're picking hockey players nowadays. But Logan Thompson comes in. He's on a league minimum contract. Like, this is a lot of money, but in terms of sports, it's nothing. He's making like $700K last year. Literal, like, he's getting paid minimum wage in the NHL. What does he do? He turns around. He has the best season ever, but he does get snubbed off the thing, and then he signs a 6-year, multi-million-dollar contract. Logan Thompson's living the Cinderella story right now, dude. He's so good, and like the city loves him. He threw out the first pitch at Nats Park over the summer.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Come on, he's a fun guy, Josh. But
And yeah, he's fun, but he's going to need to be sharp as the Caps get back and stay on the road. They're going up against the Panthers on Thursday night. Those are your back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions. I will say the Panthers are off to a little bit of a slower start this year. You know, they're hovering around the 500 mark right now, towards the bottom of their division. But do not get them wrong. When the Panthers have their game going and they have their legs going and they're skating, it's potentially the best team in the NHL. There's a reason that they've won this Stanley Cup in back-to-back years. And the Panthers, as what we were saying earlier, they have that pack mentality. They're a one-for-all and all-for-one kind of team. Caps showed that tonight. They showed that in the win against the Hurricanes. Whoa, the Hurricanes. They need that to carry over, and they need it in a bad way.
yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup. The Panthers are always tough. Even if they're not playing great right now, they're always a tough matchup. Another really tough matchup heading into the Saturday night game in Washington, back at home. The Devils. The Devils right now, the New Jersey Devils are in first place in the Metropolitan Division.
And who the hell saw that coming this year?
Josh, a lot of people did see that coming because the
Did
Devils...
they?
The Devils showed last year that they have guys. They have a bunch of great young talent on their team, and they were getting better and better and better. They had Hughes get injured last year. They had a couple guys get injured, and I think that threw them back. But they started off last season really well, and I think they're doing it again this year. Though I'm not.
Okay, I'll see it your way.
I'm scared of the Devils. I don't know if you are. I'm scared of the Devils. I'm going to say I think the Devils are not going to be as bad as they were last year. They started off really well and fell. I don't think they're going to do that this year. I think they're going to stay at the top, and that's going to be big competition for the Caps.
And I will say, too, like, no matter how the Devils have performed, like, overall season record, it seems that every time the Caps play them, it's a nail-biter. It's a barn burner. And so it's going to be on the Caps to back on home ice, set that tone, set the pace early. I don't know if you remember, 2 years ago, the Caps and the Devils, there was a 6-5 game that ended with the Caps winning in overtime. That's the kind of game that we can expect. You know, it's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be a one-side game. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be competitive. I mean, it's a Metropolitan Division rivals. You know, they've seen each other in the playoffs in recent years. They've seen each other in the regular season. Like, teams are coming into this game. They want to win. It's Saturday night in DC. It's hopping.
Saturday night in DC is always hopping, Josh. And so is Monday night in DC against the LA Kings. LA Kings are also in the top of their division. I think they're second in the division behind the Anaheim Ducks. Wait, before I enter the Kings game, can I just point out something really weird? The Ducks are won 7 straight games and are 11-3-1, first in the West. What?
Okay.
What?
You might not believe me because I didn't share this with you, but the second the Ducks became like a 4-3-1 team, like the second they picked up that first win, I saw part of that game. I was like, this Ducks seems really good.
I
And
don't
then,
believe you.
yeah, I told you weren't going to believe me.
I don't believe you. Nobody predicted that, Josh. I don't believe you.
But well, okay, I did not predict seven wins straight, but that was after watching that first game. They popped up on my radar, and it seems that every day when I've scrolled on like Instagram or whatever in the NHL post another final score, it seemed that every day like the Ducks like happened to win again, and I kept thinking like, okay, is this a post from last week? Like, there's no way they keep winning and winning, and I didn't realize that it was 7 straight, until you brought that to my attention. But the Ducks have flagged me as a team that like I've noticed when I look at the final scorecards every day, the Ducks won another game.
I'm just surprised because it looked like they were giving up heading into this season when they traded Trevor Zegras away. They traded their big name guy to the Flyers, and it just looked like they weren't going to have this season. They were rebuilding again. They were going back to what the Ducks normally are, but it's not so far. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're early in the season, but not so far, Josh.
But hey, sometimes it's all it takes. Look at the Nats. They get rid of Harper. Well, they don't get rid of him. Harper leaves the team in 2018. A year later, they go on to have a generational turnaround. It happens. And then we close out the week. Oilers at the Caps on Wednesday night. Next week's episode, we are going to preview that a little bit, so we're not going to get into it too much right now. But what I will say, and what I do like about this week, is the Caps have a little bit more time to recuperate and rest coming off the road. Back-to-backs. The Caps play the most back-to-backs in the NHL this season. They play 14 back-to-backs, which is a lot. And they've already played 4, which is the most in the NHL right now. So what a back-to-back does is it forces Charlie Lindgren between the pipes, which is something that the Caps want to avoid as much as possible. Lindgren, he hasn't looked his sharpest. Next week we might dive into Lindgren a little bit more and analyze that performance as we're kind of running short on time here. But what having a day off in between every game does is it allows you to say, LT, you're going to play every game this week, and you're not going to have to leave it up to 50-50 chance, because if you put Charlie Lindgren in the goal, he's either seeing 15 shots and letting in 5 of them, or he's seeing 70 shots and not giving up a goal. And I would much rather have that stability in Logan Thompson, where shutouts seem to elude this guy. He can't get a shutout for his life, but he only gives up 1 goal on 35 shots. I'd much rather have that consistency than the Charlie Lindgren hot, cold, what are we getting today?
Yeah, stability is always amazing, and stability is what we give you guys fans every single Wednesday, except for that one that it was a little shaky. We couldn't get one out, but we're stable on this show. Come on.
Oh yeah, college apps were due that week. There's a lot going on. The thing crashed, the Zoom crashed. Yeah, we're on a new software right now, Riverside. So please bear with us a little bit. But yeah, consistency. We're trying to bring you guys consistently the best content ever. We'd appreciate you guys' feedback. If you have anything to say, hit us up, dingersanddashers@gmail.com, www.dingersanddashers.com. The email, all that's description, the website's description. Everything lives in the description. We thank you guys so much for joining us again this week. We cannot wait to see you guys again next week. Let's go Caps. Let's go Nats.
Let's go. Come on.
Here we go. All right. See y'all later. Nats visor on Adam's head. It's pretty great. Yeah. And we'll see y'all later.
Thank you.